Welcome to The Other Dimension with the team, Damon Penny, Ben Winfield, and Louisa Brown. We guide you through the supernatural, the occult, and the unexplained, answering questions that will make you question your grip of reality, with special guests guiding you through everything from demons to divination, cryptids to crystals, religion to skeptics. We explore in depth the true meaning of the unexplained. So strap in, kick back, and enjoy as we enter the other dimension.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome.
Good evening. As you can tell, we have got a guest joining us tonight. We have Nancy Thames, all the way from America. So let's hope that the internet is good to us.
Yes, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I'm just so thrilled.
No, you're right. You approached us and said you'd like to come on, so we have
Yeah.
We
I
like
love
hearing from people. And people come to share their stories.
Yes, it's amazing.
Yes,
Small
we got-
world. When we get down to the internet, it brings us all together.
Yeah.
So that's amazing.
Yeah.
This is absolutely brilliant. So, just a roundhouse for everyone. Guys, yes, I am back to normal. As you can all tell, I'm back to happy, bubbly, and everything has passed. So prepare yourselves for Sunday shows because they will be sparking up again. I will be running them. We'll be talking about everything from quantum mechanics to, I know everyone's just thinking, I can already hear the complaints coming in the comments from everyone
No one complains. Don't put yourself down.
about me rambling like mad. What we got here?
We had a comment
Sorry.
pop up already. Hang on.
Yeah, very long comment actually.
Oh, hang on. Yeah, click it up. There we go. Wow. What do we say? 95% of the world population of 8 billion on the mechanical Earth vessel are alchemists of various animal species, concealed behind their holographic flesh suits, whereas approximately 390 plus million are indoctrinated hybrid sun children, fallen angels, such as I. That's quite an opening statement, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
We're just trying to get in somewhere light with a bit of catch up, and someone's gone bam. Right.
I'm going to be honest, there are so many holes in that. I could go on, but
Yeah.
we're nice to comments and it's nice having them. Everyone has their own opinion.
Everyone put your comments in. We will get through them. Yeah.
But yes, as I was saying, Sunday shows are going to be back to normal. First one, we're going to be talking about the Russian crazy guy.
Rasputin.
I just like the Russian crazy guy because it's awesome. The true story of how he actually died, because most people, in fact, 95% of people get it wrong of how he actually died, which is awesome. But yes, we'll be getting back to that. But for now,
Well, I was going to, because remember how I put the photo up from the filming of Help My House is Haunted?
Yes.
Yeah, so we did say, like, do a little caption this, and I think, like, one of the best comments, where's it gone? So I'd say there's no prizes, but I would give a shout out to what I thought was the best comment. I think that has to be Tracy Kelly with, and then she just licked it. Yeah.
It's slightly strange. Well, go on.
And completely out of context. And anyway, that was from the caption competition. So, and now we'll carry on.
Guys, don't forget, that show will be airing on Discovery Plus. I think next season. So
It'll be later this year. So about late summer, I think, to autumn.
Yeah.
Discovery Plus, and then really I'll be catching up on that.
So guys, don't forget to watch. Lose on this time instead of me. So on to the main show. So we have Nancy Thames here. Thames, sorry. My accent is terrible, Nancy. It throws words out all over the place. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, that'd be great. My name is Nancy Thames. I am a lifelong contactee of interdimensional beings and positive extraterrestrials. And my first conscious memory started at around age 2 or 3. And it was very playful at this point. they would come and get me, and they would always send 3 grays. These were hybrids. These grays were designed by the tall grays and the interdimensionals to do the legwork. Interdimensionals and extraterrestrials have a hard time with the density here on Earth. So they created these hybrids to do the back and forth, because within their DNA, they are tweaked to be able to come down here, and they're more compatible with our atmosphere. So grays always travel in 3s. The one female I am bonded with, and she's been with me ever since my birth here on Earth. She has been with me everywhere I go, from Earth to craft or to wherever I go. She is the one that communicates with me telepathic, and we are bonded together. So throughout my life, it was her. And for the longest, they would take my memories as long as I could stay conscious, as long as my anxiety and my fears were intact. But when I finally got to an age to where my society around me had started playing with my brain, as far as thinking of what I understood and what I didn't understand, whenever I would start to feel fear or anxiety, they would touch me on the forehead and put me in a trance-like state, which is you're fully functional and you move around physically, but you are like in a trance. So, and it eliminates all your fears and all your anxieties, and it makes for a better experience for them and for the experiencer. So the problem with that, though, is when you come back home and the next day and you're trying to piece things together, your memories are what's called fragmented. There's like bits and pieces you remember, but you can't just put it all together like you would if it was a full conscious memory. And the reason why they do that is because they are telepathic, and they do not have all the emotions and things that human beings have. As a matter of fact, we have more emotions than any other beings in the universe. So with them not having these type of emotions and being telepathic, when we exhibit fear and feel fear, they feel whatever we feel, only it's intensified tenfold to them. And this is not a feeling that they like or a feeling that they understand, because in their world, they don't have these emotions and they don't understand it. So that's why they will tap us out, because then they can do their task and also have us fully functional and able to do, go through like a lesson. It could be like a school lesson or whatever reason that we're having our contact experience. So that went on, up into my 20s, and they were doing it that way. The only difference was that I became fully more aware of what was happening to me. And when they would come to get me, I would sense their presence, and I would be in the bed. And a lot of times I would keep my eyes closed, and they probably even told me to do that telepathically, but I would keep my eyes closed, and then I would feel my covers being drawn off. And then I would feel it didn't touch my body, but it was a scanner device. And the scanner would run from head to toe to head, up and down for a few minutes. And then at this point, after a few minutes, I would feel my body start to levitate off the bed, and I would be floating up. And at this point, I would open my eyes and look around, and I could physically see that I was in the air, and I was holding the hands of the female gray, and that my bed was empty. So this was something that was physically happening to me. This was not a dream. This was not an out-of-body experience. This was a physical thing. And after I would feel myself floating up, the next thing I knew, she was taking me through the ceiling or through a window or through a door. And I never understood how this was physically possible, humans aren't able to do this kind of thing. So it was very disturbing, and I did not understand. So as it continued, I began to figure out, for one, at a very young age, I figured out that this was not something that I could talk about to my parents. Didn't really like to talk about it, and they'd encourage me not to talk about it, and especially around people outside our home or at school or any other family members. And I also found out that this is not experiences that were happening to most people, that this was something very strange that was happening with me. And it was disturbing, and yet sometimes fun too. It's kind of hard to explain because it's the unknown. You don't know. And when this is happening to you, the part for me, and the staying conscious longer and longer, the hardest part for me was, it wasn't what they looked like. It was the vibrational frequency exchange between us. And as I got older and I began to ask questions and demand information, they explained to me that when they were coming to me and they were the scanner that was going back and forth, up and down, humans, we're in a 3D world. We vibrate at a very low frequency. So what they were doing is vibrating my human body up to their frequency. And that's how, when they got me to their frequency, that's how I could go through the roof or through the door or through the wall with them. So this continued on for a long time. And the more that this all was happening, the more I would slip around. Like when I would go shopping with my parents, I'd slip over to the magazine stands looking for anything that might have something related to these topics. Or around holidays, living in a small town, we would go to bigger cities to shop. And my father always enjoyed bookstores. So I would creep around trying to find books that maybe had some information. And I found out really quick that people, when you walk up on people that are looking at these type topics, they're very embarrassed that you walk up on them, and they would like, oh, I'm in the wrong section, or make an excuse for, you finding them there. So it just reinforced what my parents had always told me, that these are not topics that you can talk about outside around people, because a lot of people, they have institutionalized and considered them crazy for talking this way. So, I realized that other people were having these horrible experiences, and I was not having horrible experiences. I just simply didn't understand what this all meant, the purpose of it, and things of this nature. So as I got older, I got married, and I became a mother, and I made a circle and sit down in my bedroom. I made a circle around me. I was sitting on carpet, and I was thinking that by doing a circle, I was making a safe place, and I was meditating to them with pure intention, with positive thoughts, saying, I want to understand. I want face-to-face conscious time, and I want you to explain to me why this is happening to me, what it means, what is the purpose. So I went to bed, and at some point, I don't exactly know the time frame between, but the Greys did come for me, and the female Grey came and got me, and she escorted me to a craft. And when I got on craft, she took me before a group of elders, and the elders were beings that were humanoid but not human, and they were of about 7 to 8 feet, different ones, and there was a great number of them, and they appeared to be from different races. And so they took me before them, and I asked them, why is this happening to me? And they told me that I had made a decision before coming to Earth for my human experience, that I had made an agreement to come here and be here at this particular time for humanity, because this is a pivotal moment where in mass numbers, humanity is beginning to go through an ascension, and we are waking up, and we are starting to realize that our old ways of living no longer are working for us, and there's changes. People are waking up and being more aware of things, and they want people to have people from different races of positive beings to be here and wake up and help people to understand we are not alone in the universe. We have never been alone. And they had a part in our creation and a part of everything on this planet, including the trees, the birds, the waterfalls, all fauna, everything. And so I made an agreement before ever being born here to do this. And so I looked at them and I told them, I don't remember making any agreements about this. And they said, they presented me with a vision, and I saw myself in an etheric being sitting patiently and waiting. And then they came to me and said, and took my hand and said, it's time for your human experience. When you wake up, it will be a while, a good while before you see us again. And before, when you will not remember any of this, but we will be visiting you throughout your life, getting you prepared. And at some point you will remember all this. And that's basically what has happened. So as it was going along, and I came and I accepted that the best I could, I still didn't understand a lot of things. And I was vacationing in Key West with an ex-husband, and I became a mother. I had 2 sons. I still have 2 sons. And they were in one bed. My ex-husband and I were in the other. And I woke up and I looked, and there were 3 graves. These were not the graves that come for me. These were different graves. These graves were 3 feet tall, and they were wearing long robes with high collars. And when they saw me sit up, one of them came to me, pushed me down on the left-hand side back into the bed, and told me telepathically, lay that down. This is not about you. And so I had to do I didn't, at that point, they put me in a sleep paralysis, which means I could not speak. I could not move. I could not do anything. And all I could do is watch through the corner of my eye. And I saw them take my 2 boys for their first time that I consciously knew about. I saw this and experienced this. And so I did go back to sleep. And so the next morning when I woke up, they were in the bed. And I told them, I decided that when we all went to breakfast, we went to breakfast together. And I asked them, did you have any strange dreams or anything you would like to talk about? And they looked at me and just kind of shrugged and said, what are you? No, and so I left it alone because no harm had been done and they had no recollection of it. And at this point, I had so many questions about this whole thing. There was so much of it I just simply did not understand. And at that point, I wasn't quite sure how I felt about all this. I didn't understand. So life went on, and I suppressed these things, and my children had no recollection of these things happening. So I left it alone. But throughout my life, whenever things, just like any other human beings, I've had good and bad things happen. I've had traumatic things happen to me. I went through 2 divorces. And at times I would just think, this is just way too much. This is crazy. This world is not what my life is supposed to be about. And they would appear to me and they would say, if this ever gets to be too much for you, you can always come home. And for the longest, that really didn't resonate with me because this is my home. I am a mother. This is my home. To me, I knew of no other places that I would even consider to be a home. So it was very confusing. So over the course of time, more things started to be revealed to me. And then about a year and a half ago, I woke up in the middle of the night. My body jerked up into a sitting upright position, and my head went back like this. and I had surges of it. I don't even know how to explain this, but I had 3 separate surges where I would fall back and then be brought back up, go back, be brought back. And during these surges, it was not like electricity, but I don't really know what you can call something like this, but it was like surges of energy flushing through my torso and up, 3 different times. And I had no idea what it was, but I later figured out, because when I started asking them questions, they would say, you already know. You already know the answers to all these questions that you ask us. Look within, you know the answers. And I'm like, and they're like, you do. And so anyway, so I finally figured out that what happened to me was a Kundalini awakening. And I knew nothing about this, but when I was listening to something on the internet, and I thought, well, something told me to pay attention and listen to this. And so that is what happened to me. So what they were doing is cleaning out my charka for any blockages from past lives or for whatever reason, blockages. And they opened up my subconscious into my consciousness. And information started flooding in. And then finally, I started piecing together all these things in my life, good things, bad things, everything. And I realized that everything in my life happened for a reason. Even though some things seemed bad, it was served a higher purpose, and it was for a purpose. And the purpose is all of us are here having a human experience. We are all energy beings here having a human experience. And being here on Earth is a school. It is a school all of us are learning. And so these things that happen in my life, good or bad, had to happen. And it made me who I am today. And I am awakened. I know who I am. I know within who I am. I know who my soul is. And my soul was an extraterrestrial before I came here. I was an extraterrestrial and made a decision to come here. And my children did the same thing. We decided to come here and help to answer questions that humanity will have, because we are experiencing disclosure, and we are all going through an awakening on a spiritual consciousness level. People are waking up all around the world and realizing and seeing things that before, say, 5 or 10 years ago would have never even been a topic of conversation. But now we understand there's things going on in our world all around us. And just because we can't see it with our 3D eyes does not mean that there's not things going on all around us. And as we reach higher consciousness, higher intelligence, we will reach different dimensions. Different dimensions are not physical places. These are higher levels of consciousness, higher levels of awareness, higher intelligence, and things that we'll start to see. Everything on this planet, trees are living beings. Our forests are living beings. Our planet is a living being. Everything here was put by intentional design. Everything here is connected and was made and created for all of us to be together and united and work together as one. Trees and plants and things were helped to make us to thrive throughout our life. But the problem is that different fractions for the last eons, we have turned into being more like the predator. We take our earth for granted. We take our trees for granted. We pollute our air. We pollute our waters. We destroy all of these forests and jungles. So these things we have done is not because we truly wanted it. It's the way our society has shown us And everything is about us working, and from the minute we're born, having a social security number and working our butts off from 9 to 5, sometimes having more than one job, working ourselves to death. And by the time we get to a retirement age, we are simply unhealthy and don't even get to enjoy our retirement. So we have been manipulated and controlled throughout our life. And these ways can change and make us better human beings. And we can learn to have longer lives. We can live without diseases. And we can learn that all of our foods and our waters have toxins in it. And all these things were done intentionally to keep humanity dumbed down, because the super elite, the cabal, the black hats, in a small minority of what I call negative lower rim extraterrestrials, have worked together for a very long time, playing around with us, manipulating us, and we've been making their lives much richer and much more successful. And they have been sitting on technology and making us work in a banking system. We don't even understand what being free is. We are not free. We have to work. We have to slave. We are taught about a banking system, and we should spend. The beauty of this is that extraterrestrials and interdimensionals are billions of years ahead of us in all ways. Evolution. They don't even have a word for technology because it's so far more beyond that. None of our technology, none of our physics even applies to them. There is no such thing as time. There is no such thing as currency. They simply are here waiting for us. They've been waiting all this time. They were not the extraterrestrials that have been here in the past that has worked with different governments, or the ones that did abductions on women and things of this nature. These beings are positive. Those are what I call the negative ones. And they are not in the same collective consciousness with all of the interdimensionals and the positive extraterrestrials. They are shunned upon and they are not a part of. So, and they are very small in number compared to the interdimensionals and the positive extraterrestrials. So, years back, when they realized that humanity was becoming of higher consciousness and intelligence, when they brought their big motherships into our solar system, they told these lower rim extraterrestrials to get away from Earth, to leave us alone. And if you'll look back and do a little research, you'll see we do not have abductions like we used to have in the past. Because you can look at feeds from the International Space Station from years back, and you can see thousands of craft leaving Earth. But all of them did not leave. Some are still here, and they are fighting tooth and nail because they do not want us to become the better beings that we can become, to realize that we have DNA that's never activated, and that our DNA and our pineal glands are purposely kept crystallized, because that's what the toxins do in our body, in our water. Everything we drink, everything we eat goes against us. And this has all been done intentionally to make us stay lower intelligence and to stay unhealthy, because pharmaceutical companies, our bodies were not created to adapt to these synthetic drugs that they give us. When we were created, everything, all plants, fauna, everything on this earth was created to work hand in hand. There is a cure for every disease. It was put here for us to work hand in hand, to work together and keep us all as one. But when these group of negative extraterrestrials and a group of human beings and governments that decided that they wanted to control and manipulate and be trillionaires, and all of us work under them as a slave system, because they cannot make money off healthy, intelligent human beings. They can only make money and continue and keep their power by keeping us dumbed down. But we're at this point. They cannot stop it, and they know it. But they created this war in the Middle East, and they have these other things that happen. It's all to keep you distracted, to keep humanity separated. That's what they've always done for eons. Different languages, separation of languages, separation of religions. All these things were man-made for the intentional purpose of keeping humanity apart, because they know once humanity is intelligent enough and wakes up to this and realize this old system of living no longer serves us. We are tired of wars. We are tired of doing the same things over and over again and getting us nowhere. Our banking system is breaking down. Our worlds are breaking down. If we don't become more intelligent and raise our consciousness, we are probably going to wipe ourselves out. And these positive extraterrestrials and interdimensionals have seen other beings in the universe come to this pivotal point and have made the wrong choices. And they want to assist us. They do not want to control us. They do not want to take over. They simply want to lend a hand if we allow it. We are here on free will. They cannot overstep the boundary of free will. The negative race of grays, one race out of many different races of grays. There's many different races of all races of extraterrestrials and interdimensionals. There's different races. And so when you speak of grays, none of them even call themselves grays, but there is one negative race that have worked with these negative facets of humanity and dark hats, dark governments to suppress humanity. So it's a lot to digest, and they know this. And I am 63 years old, and it's taken me a long time to get to this point to understand that everything was a grooming period. It was to get me to a point so that I understand. So they know that humanity is not going to be able to make changes or understand all this overnight. And they are here and they are waiting on us, and nobody will be pushed into anything. It has to be something that we want to do, and they will not overstep the boundaries because we are here on free will. And they
We're going
believe.
to stop you there. We've got loads of questions.
Okay.
So we've
Got
got
loads.
questions written down. Just have a breather a second.
Have 5 minutes. Let me find
Who comments first?
Yeah, the first comment we had is off Wild Bill, somewhere up in
One further up.
there we are. Is just want to hear, how do you know the sex between the greys? Just out of curiosity, because
Well,
even I'd like to know this one, because I've like thousands upon thousands of documented cases of abduction with greys. No one's ever spoke of sexuality. They've always spoken of
they have male and female. They also have souls. They also believe in a creator source. The males and females, the reason with the hybrid, when she's down here face to face, when I'm with her face to face and she's telepathically talking to me, I can tell by her frequency that she's a female. I can tell, I know. And when I'm on craft,
that you're able to tell the difference between the males and females.
yeah, when I'm on craft and I'm talking in face to face with the interdimensionals and the tall grays, not the hybrids, their voices are distinguishable between male and female. I can also sense inflection in their tones that they're speaking to me telepathically. There is, if they're attempting humor, I can sense that. If they're attempting to say something no or whatever, I can sense by the inflections in their voice, and I can tell male and female. But now when the ones that come here, the hybrids, it's harder for me. It's just a feeling of knowing. I know.
When you say hybrids, what are the hybrids between them?
they were created. They are a gray. They are created by the tall grays, and they took DNA and they took whatever they needed to make them more compatible with coming down to Earth. Their sole job is to transport contactees from back and forth. And so when I see her when she comes to get me,
What
and
does
the
she
other
look
two
like?
with her, she is reddish brown. And if she's wearing clothes, it is, I don't think she's wearing clothes, but if she were, it would be so tight I wouldn't be able to tell it. And it's the same color as the skin on her face. She feels like a dolphin. She's very cold feeling. And
so dolphin crossed with a grey. Is what that's.
She feels like a dolphin. I've been with dolphins. I've swam with dolphins. I know what they feel like, and that's what they feel like. It's like for me, you touch me, you feel a bone. With her, it's more I don't know what the word I want to use. It feels like a dolphin. She feels like a dolphin. But
that's right. Just so we can get the questions.
And she's reddish brown color, and they are all many different colors, many different heights, many different races, and they do not call themselves grays. They go by many different names, usually from whatever constellation or whatever, that they come from. So grays is a man-made, just something that humans made up.
I'm going to say hi to Zira. Hi.
We're doing. Sorry, guys. We are catching up on comments.
Catching up way through. Zira asks, respectfully, did you not think for a moment that could be ancestors reassuring you or guiding you or protecting you?
I was an extraterrestrial before I came here. I made a choice to be here, and I'm experiencing the human experience, just like all of us. And as far as them being future humans, I don't know that. I don't know everything. I don't pretend to know everything. I am living a world of having a human experience and consciousness. I'm a mother. I'm a grandmother. My life here is very important. So I keep a good balance between my extraterrestrial consciousness and my human consciousness, because it's very important that I continue my experience here, and I love my family and children, So as far as knowing, there's some things I know, but maybe I don't want to consciously know too much of certain things, because I don't want to change. I want to stay here as long as possible, and be with my family here.
I have a question, just out of curiosity. Obviously, when you approached the show, you sent us a brilliant description of everything, which was amazing. How did this affect you working with the DoD then? Because you said you was a dentist assistant.
Nothing at all. If anything, I feel like the interdimensionals orchestrated it. Everything in my life, they've somehow, or everything has served for a greater purpose.
That was one of my questions I was going to ask. Did they guide you to become a dental assistant and to work for the department?
Yes, because I think, for example, when the mummies were presented in Mexico, when they had their congressional inaugural meetings, and they brought 3 the Nazca mummies from Peru, everybody they considered the man that presented it as being a scam artist. And a lot of them even refused to look at the scientific evidence, because in the past, this man had presented things, and it turned out that it was skeletal systems that had been manipulated and played with. Okay. And he got caught doing this.
They're the small ones, aren't they, that have recently been on?
Yes. They're very, very short. So those 3.
About 2 weeks ago got addressed as being fake.
It's been a couple of months ago, but when all that happened, I had just gotten back from a trip from Mexico with my oldest son that the interdimensionals orchestrated. There were things that they wanted us to go and meet an indigenous tribe, and I'll get to that in a minute. But anyway, so when it was presented, and I watched every bit of this, hearings. And when they presented the scientific evidence, I put aside what people were saying about this man. I have learned from my experiences and becoming who I am, you cannot judge a book by its cover. We can't. Negativity and racism serves us no purpose. It gets us nowhere. It answers no questions. So I refuse to listen to anything that other people were saying. And I looked at the scientific evidence myself. And the reason why it's significant is when I was working for the Army, I was a civilian and I was working in dentistry, and I was working with 3D imaging at Schofield Barracks on Oahu in Hawaii, and also at Fort Benning, Georgia. And they, in the endo department, they had 3D imaging, especially at Fort Benning. And what it was is that normal x-rays, when you take a picture of a broken arm or even a tooth, you take the picture and it shows the outside surface. It's placed either on the inside of the mouth or on the outside. And if it's a foot or a bone, it's either underneath or above, usually underneath for a bone. So what it was doing is taking that image and you're getting a picture of the outside, and then you're looking for different discolorations, for cracks or disease or decay or whatever, okay? With 3D imaging, what it does is it takes a picture of a bone or a tooth, not from the outside. It goes in from the inside looking down. And when it does this, it not only shows the whole inside of the bone, every vessel, every blood vein, every artery, everything inside, every ligament, every little thing. So you're looking at it like this rather than like that. So with that type of technology, you cannot stick a dog bone into a human bone and then try to present it as being scientific evidence of a mummy. And what they said was these mummies, because they looked at it with 3D imaging, they had not been tampered with. These were real. These were real. But people didn't want to believe it.
Kind of went off subject a bit there about the dentist one, but yeah.
Yeah, so you said before that us here on Earth, we are all energy beings, and so we're all extraterrestrials. If that's the case, and obviously Earth, with the humans on Earth, is causing so many problems that you've mentioned,
Okay.
why don't more of the aliens decide to sort of awaken more people like they have done yourself?
We all have a little bit of extraterrestrial heritage in our DNA. A lot of it's classified as junk DNA, okay? Junk DNA, they don't know where it came from. It is extraterrestrial. Now, so we do have, all of us have some cosmic background, but not everybody was an extraterrestrial before they came here. You know, a lot of people were. I'm not anything special. There's probably a million people like me, but we're all waking up at different times. And positive extraterrestrials and interdimensionals will have contact with people like me or people with direct lineage with them. Either it would be, for me, being I was an extraterrestrial before I came here, or it would be a hybrid if there were one. The negative extraterrestrials that did all these random abductions, that was just random people, and they are different. They could care less about humanity. They're not demonic, but they could care less. They are self-serving and only think of themselves. So they were doing things that was their agenda. It was not in the best interest of human beings, and they overstepped the boundaries of cosmic law of us being here on free will. And that's why the interdimensionals and the positives, they are shunned. They are not part of the consciousness collective of the positives, and they are a very small number.
Okay, I got a question from Wild Bill. What do you think of starseeds, hybrids or not? Discuss.
I'm sure there are. I don't know everything, but I mean, there's a reason why people have a sense or a feeling why they belong somewhere else. I suppose I could be considered a starseed. You know, you have to understand a lot of these things are human interpretations. They didn't come down here and write a book for us. These are all things, different perceptions, and it is just like the Bible here on earth. It was all written by man, and it changes to fit certain people's agendas. So these are man-made and man-made versions, and they believe in a creator source, but it is not, they don't look at their creator like we look, like how humans look at God and have all these different religions. They don't, there is no such thing like that. It's totally, they believe in creator source, and the creator source is the creator of all things. And there's many universes, many galaxies, and it just goes on and on forever. And that's, the creator source is neither male or female. It is a energy being.
Oh, we've got a massive question
Or energy source.
From Zira. And don't bear with me.
Yep.
The screen's really small. I need a bigger screen. Okay, if there are so many positive extraterrestrials, why would they not overthrow the single negative collective, then refocus the human race on the path that they wanted for us before the negative influences from the negative collective?
Because one, they're not in the same collective. They know that they've been doing wrong things. They told them to leave, but none of these, regardless of what people write books or what people tell you, they are not warlike. You have to understand, they are billions of years ahead of us. Throughout their evolution, there is no wars. There is no disease. There is no negativity. There is no.
So do you think through their evolution, because I know before at the beginning you mentioned that they don't have emotions, do you think that they've evolved to the state where they just got rid of emotions? Because that's kind of, I wouldn't say that's necessarily a good thing to get rid of your emotions, because
I don't know. We're the only beings in the whole universe that has these emotions like we have. And they're way ahead of us, and we're about to wipe ourselves out.
Just a bit curious.
So I don't think they've done anything wrong.
Just a bit curious. You said there was no, they've got no negativity.
Exactly.
But you just said that the negative, you've got a negative and positive.
What I call them are self-serving, only thinking of themselves.
So
that does not mean that they're going to take over our planet. They have no intention of taking over our planet. No, they're out for themselves.
In case people are watching.
Yeah.
Just
they're only out for themselves. They only care about themselves.
So they do. So you would say, in a sense, negativity does exist then still between them.
Well, that's kind of selfish, a selfish emotion if you're just thinking about yourself.
Yeah. But they're not warlike at all. Yeah. But they could care less about humanity. All of the benevolent and positive extraterrestrials, interdimensionals, they care about humanity and they care about the whole world. I mean, this happens all the time. What we don't understand, we are not the only living beings in this vast world and vast universes. We are just now starting to discover things. And there's things, our solar system is teeming with life. All of these planets are living beings. Earth is a living being, and they all have a consciousness. We cannot see these things. Our scientists already know these things. Extraterrestrials are not hiding from us. They're all over the place in our skies. We can't see these things with our 3D eyes, but we are waking up. Our government doesn't know how to tell us. They know all this. How do they tell a world there's things everywhere and you simply can't see it because we're in a 3D world? Because dimensions are not a physical place. Things are going on right here beside you, right here beside me. And there could be a craft sitting right here in my living room, right there in your living room.
Similar
And you
thing to
would
what
not
we
see it,
say
but that
about
does
the,
not mean it is not there.
about the
And they
spiritual
have
side of the
proven, they have
paranormal.
evidence, huh? Say again?
So it's very similar to what we say about the spiritual side of the paranormal. There's so much out
Yeah.
there that you can't see. There could be someone just stood right next to you. You don't know because you
Right.
can't always see it with your
But
eyes.
some of us
And things
can.
are on different planes and different levels, aren't
But
they?
some of us can, and we sense and we know that is part of awakening up. And see, not only seeing extraterrestrials, we are going to see more everything. Bigfoot, all these things that they're 1 minute people see them, the next minute they don't. That's because they're going between dimensions, and we're getting glimpses.
So you're on the side that Bigfoot is an interdimensional being.
Yeah.
That's something that we come across,
Yeah,
isn't
yeah.
it? It's one of the questions that
Yes.
comes up quite often, like what do people
Yes.
think Bigfoot is?
Yeah. And there's a lot of spirit beings that pretend to be extraterrestrials. They think if they were a funny human being, they're a funny spirit being. They like to play games. They like to,
Yeah, the personality
Yeah.
stays the same from life to death. Yeah.
I mean, they still have personalities and stuff, And we were talking about the emotions and stuff. Now, although they don't have all the emotions that we have, and the grays are more, a lot of people think they're a robot. They are not robots. They are biological, but they don't have the emotions and things that we have. And of course they're telepathic, but you would never see a smile or anything, a glimpse of any emotion. But now the interdimensionals and even the tall grays, they can even have a sense of humor. Yeah.
Right, so
But it's still, they're not emotional like us, but they do have, they do have some. I've seen them do this. They can be playful or make a joke, whatever.
so they do have, as Zira's put it, so they do have personalities through emotions as well.
Yes, yes.
Sorry,
Sorry, just had to run off. The dogs ran out to water.
but Luke keeps
Oh,
track of the questions because my head just rolls.
Sorry, got loads coming up in the comments, haven't you?
Yep, got more. Got some strange comments.
My sister is a zebra alchemist.
I have no idea what a zebra alchemist is.
I don't either. I'm telling you, I do not know everything. I only know of my experiences and what they have revealed to me.
I haven't.
So
Josh, I haven't got a clue what you're on about, buddy. But we do alchemy on this show. I've never heard of it, and I've studied the past 1,000 years of alchemy. Since being a professor, kind of in cultology, you kind of get to understand that one.
Yeah.
So I've heard someone from the UK, they talk about they've been like abducted by aliens. They've had experiments done on them, and it turns out they're kind of like a super soldier kind of thing for some sort of intergalactic army.
Yeah, fights on Mars.
I've heard all that stuff
Yeah.
too. I
But
don't know anything about these kind of things. I know that I went before a group
yours
of
seems a lot more
elders,
peaceful, we'll say
and
that.
I was, a council. I went before a council of many different beings, but the word galactic and I don't know. I've not heard these things.
Yeah, your experience
But
seems a
you
lot
have to understand.
calmer than that.
Well, you have to understand there's a lot of human creativity in a lot of these things. So I always say use discernment, which means I wasn't there. I don't really know, so who am I to say whether they did or not, but I use
It's very,
discernment.
the ones that you encountered, very were more on the calm, peaceful, positive side of things, wanting to help humanity.
Yes.
You think that would be more of like a negative sort of encounter than the lower, more negative beings, maybe that.
Yes.
Although maybe
The reptilians, not all reptilians are bad. I have met at least one well, I've met some reptilians, but one in particular, and he greeted me when I went to craft one time, and he, you know, they're not all bad, but there are a race of reptilians and a race, and I think the race of Greys are from Orion. I could be wrong about that, but I think that if I remember correctly, there is one race of Greys, and I know that they're not part of the collective because of overstepping boundaries, towards human beings, and they were doing what they wanted to do, and best I can figure it was a genetic experiment, and I don't know why they were doing them. They can reproduce. They don't necessarily reproduce like we do, but they do form a partner, and they have at least one child, and usually that is it. And usually they can have it however they want to, but most of them, it is test tube type procedures. But as far as people ask me about these hybrid races, and I do think that if they did do that, it would make sense that they would want these hybrid children to meet their mothers, because they would still have a lot of human emotions and stuff that they would be raised by them because of how they would be treated here on Earth. But they would also need to know that loving maternal bond, or a parent, even a father, know that maternal bonds for their full experience of being who they are.
Okay, we're coming to the last few minutes of the show, but I've just got a question. So in the spiritual world side of things, people meditate to meet their spirit guides and such. If someone is more interested to know about their extraterrestrial side, like they feel sort of drawn to it more, and they maybe want to meet one of these extraterrestrials that you spoke about, the good ones, the one that actually bring more enlightenment, would a form of meditation help people with that? Or is there anything?
What I do is I have my own form of meditation. I have my own form. I'll just put it that way. What I do is I sit in a peaceful, quiet place, and I express positive, and I use pure intention, meaning I give it all I got to get my point across, and it's directly directed to them. The good thing about me is that through all these years, I have a direct contact, a direct line with them, and they have me vibrating at a very, very high frequency. And it has made me a very positive and see the bright side of things type attitude. But for me, I pure intention, meditate and think pure thoughts, and ask them for face-to-face contact, ask them to open my subconscious up and give me more conscious memories and help me, and to help me to be able to present these things to people, so that it is trying to make it as understandable as possible, because it is a lot to absorb. It really is.
Yeah.
Thank you. Having some comments coming up. Great conversation. Thanks, guys. Really interesting. Well, Bill says, good show, guys. It has been a really interesting conversation, hasn't it?
Hey, what time do you call this?
Yeah, Kate's late. She's just coming at the end. She'll have to rewatch.
It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon for me. So
Kate's over in America.
She's in Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm in Mississippi. Yeah, I'm in Mississippi. But it's we're on the same time zone as Chicago, but I'm in Mississippi. Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank
it's been
you.
a pleasure.
Oh, I enjoy it. I love, this is my mission in life, is to people deserve the truth.
I can tell you're very passionate about it.
Yes, I am.
It comes across. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll have to arrange getting you back on as well.
I'd love to.
So
yes.
We need to go through the comments. I'll make notes of the comments that we didn't get to on the chat, and other comments from it. And
let me say this. People can reach me. I have a website, timefordisclosure.com, and then a Facebook group called Time for Disclosure / We Have Never Been Alone / We Are the Disclosure.
Tell you what,
We are the
um,
disclosure.
can you pop the links in Facebook Messenger for me, and I'll link them up
Okay.
onto our group.
I'll do that. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Okay.
Thanks,
Guys.
everyone.
So yeah.
That's it from us. I am not on the show this weekend because I am disappearing. Leave that for everyone to do what they want with it. Next week we will be. Oh, she's gone.
God bless her.
The following week
Hang on, let me get my diary.
is, I believe, me. Let me get rid of this.
Hang on, let me sort this out a second. Let me get
Let's do that. Wow, full screen.
bear with.
2 seconds, because Lou is abandoning us on one night.
Right, hang on. You're abandoning us this weekend.
Mhm.
Okay, next Friday we are at Tutbury Castle.
Okay, next Friday we are out with our very good friend Barry John, which we're going to get him on the show again, chewing the grass, because he is just absolutely hilarious and he's amazing guest as well.
And then on Saturday,
Saturday.
something special. Wait for the post.
New series starting.
Shut up. Wait for the post.
That's all I'm saying.
Wait for the post. And then on the Sunday, you're doing your people in occultology history, which is a hospital. So that's next week.
Yes. So next Sunday it all starts back to normal. Oh, next Sunday. Brace for next Saturday.
Yeah,
Next
no
Saturday's
Friday.
No Friday. But next week you get.
But
Saturday
you
and
might
Sunday.
you might do a little surprise live if we can from Tutbury.
Yeah,
A little wonder. Little wonder.
Guys,
It's all good.
be safe, be good. If you can't do anything,
Be an alien.
crazy, do something stupid. It's more fun. See you later, guys.